So being 7 o'clock, December 4th, I will call this school committee meeting to order. We'll start with introductions to my right.
Good evening, Steve Greenberg, Assistant Superintendent of Operations.
Scott Morrison, Superintendent.
Matt LaCavra, Assistant Superintendent of Student Services.
Andrew Prazar, Topsfield School Committee.
Emily King, Topsfield School Committee.
Candace Snyder, Topsfield School Committee.
Melissa Gustin, Topsfield School Committee.
Brendan Gahagan, Topsfield School Committee.
Carol Willer, Principal Steward.
Adrian Alford, Interim Principal Proctor.
All right, so we'll start with our principal, it's not our principal report, it's just the principals who are talking. Our report of the superintendent.
Do we just want to check remarks from the public, Mr. Chair?
Oh, yeah, are there any remarks from the public? So sorry.
Just to check that box. Excellent.
Thank you.
All right, no problem.
Just trying to,
I get it.
trying to skip
I'm
ahead.
with
But
you.
anyway, on to the report of the superintendent.
Excellent, thank you very much. We have our colleagues and friends from Rotary here to make a presentation. We very much value and appreciate that partnership that we have. Rotary presented at Boxford last Boxford go-round, and they'll be in Middleton in the January meeting. So Bernie, I don't know if you're going to do the presentation or? Peter, great, come on up.
Peter McAllister.
Just a little bit closer to the mic, if you wouldn't mind. Sorry.
There you go. In trouble. It's dangerous to give people
Right?
the control of the microphone.
Is this on? No.
Is this on? We're happy to be here tonight from the Topsfield, Boxford, and Middleton Rotary Club, which was formed in 1966 and has been in operation for this is our 60th anniversary coming up in 2026.
There you go.
And Peter's been a member that whole time. So the committee has changed over time. The only person I recognize on the school committee is Andrew. Going back for
I recognize him for a different reason.
Yeah.
He's usually upside down when
Exactly,
I see him.
former patient.
Yeah, Peter is a long-time
why.
dentist here in town.
And as we often say, Bernie, for those of you that don't know, Bernie was a former superintendent in the Tri-Town. It's like left field at Fenway, Bernie, is what I often think of it as. The superintendency in the Tri-Town. For a long time, left field at Fenway didn't change, right? It went from Fred Lynn to Jim Rice, and it's the same thing here. There's been long tenured superintendents here.
Yeah, there's only been 4 superintendents since the district was formed in
Right.
1960. So it's been a lot of stability.
Yep.
You want to prize that, keep it for as long as you can.
Yeah.
Competence has its virtues.
Yes, it does. So we're here tonight, not to take up all of your time, but only a little bit. Each year, we try to support a number of projects in the community. We have a longstanding commitment to scholarships at Masconomet and recently Essex Tech. We support the local food pantries. We will work with Eagle Scout candidates or Gold Award Girl Scout candidates, even though they've been blended together. And we do have had a longstanding dictionary project, which we have put on hold for a bit because we got involved with this project this year. But that dictionary project goes back some 25 years. And during that time, the club has presented dictionaries, thesauri, and atlases to students in grades 3, 4, and 5, totaling more than 15,000 volumes in the 3 towns.
They're college graduates that now have
Yeah.
the dictionary in their possession.
And so as times have changed, we've gone through, thinking through, knowing that you're doing a whole new literacy initiative this year. We're contributing a small contribution, $1,000 in each town, to the supplementary materials that go along with that installation of new materials. And we did have the biggest project that we do to raise funds to be able to do some of these things is the Fall Foliage Classic, which has been 44 years. 44 years, starts here at Proctor, finishes here at Proctor, and it is always the Sunday after the close of the fair in October. And this year, Adrian and his family ran in the race, which was exciting to do that. And we've had staff members, I think Mrs. Murphy ran one year in the race. Went back, and some others have. So we're always welcome participation from people in the community in those events. So who do we present this to?
The chair.
Mr. Green.
I get it.
There you are.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
well, thank you for your service at the Rotary. Thank you for all the Rotary has done for the many, many years. We're very thankful for your partnership.
We've become a
Topsfield.
small but mighty club, so we are looking for new members, for people that would like to become part.
And
So-
would love to have somebody from the school committee, please. If you would so deem it.
So our next meeting is on the 17th of December, and we meet at Boxford Community Kitchen, 6 PM next Wednesday, that Wednesday, the 17th.
And Bernie, somebody will be coming to the Middleton meeting on the 5th, is that
The
correct?
5th of January, yes,
Perfect.
sir.
Great, thank you very
We'll be
much.
there. That's a 5 o'clock start?
Yes, 5:30,
5:30, okay,
5:30, yeah,
good,
great.
all right.
Thank you both.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you. Thank you very much.
I know, I heard. Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, if it's okay with the chair to move on?
Yes.
All right, so in the drive, you'll also find a copy, and we thank the Rotary again for that collaboration. In the drive, you'll find the Crest Annual Report. Typically, this time of year, we bring forward the annual report from Crest, and next month, we'll have the report from the North Shore Education Consortium. But this report is their, as I said, annual report for 2025. As you scroll through, this is for your reading pleasure at a later date, but just to point out a few things to you. It gives an overview of the governance and leadership and the revenue and funding models at Crest, and then into what their enrollment looks like. And then it gives highlights of all the different programs that they have at Crest. As you have heard Matt talk about, we're continuing to try to develop in-district partnerships with this consortium. I sit on the board at Crest along with NEC, and I can tell you that Robert Chokla, who is the executive director at Crest, has done an excellent job there, really getting finances and things in order. I think, as you guys remember, last year we asked for permission from all three committees, and actually all the committees that are represented by the board, to raise tuition for non-members, and that has helped the financial picture for sure at Crest. So just an FYI, and as I say, the NEC report will come your way in January, but this is just in order for you to have a general overview of the comings and goings at Crest and the different programs that are there. Also wanted to bring up that Steve and I, as we think about the MSBA project, so those of you that have been on the committee for a while, you'll remember that we partnered with MSBA when we did the roof at Stewart and Proctor. This was several years ago. I think it was 2018 or 19. Both of our schools were accepted into the MSBA program, which was great because it's a partnership with the state to do envelope work, windows, doors, roofs, things like that. It used to include boilers, but not anymore. And the partnership is typically in the past in the Tri-Town. We've had a number of MSBA projects over the past 10 years and across all the towns. And typically it's like 40 cents on the dollar. Sometimes it'll be as high as 47 cents on the dollar. But an area that is in definite need from a capital perspective, and I put the little blurb in there for you to look at if you go to the Google Doc that reads MSBA Windows. So MSBA is the Massachusetts School Building Authority. It's a non-entitlement competitive program, and the ARP is what's called their accelerated repair program. And as you can see, the little red box that I put in there, commencing in January of 25, the ARP will have a biennial SOI, which is a statement of interest opening. It used to be every single year. We could put in a statement of interest and say that, hey, we would like to enter this program for a roof or windows or whatever the case may be. Again, that's what we did back in 2018, and both of our schools got accepted, so it was excellent that we were able to navigate that process with the town and with our facilities department and Steve Greenberg and Steve Clifford leading that charge. So the next go-round, as we think about 2025, it'll have a biennial opening every 2 years. The next go-round will be 2027. So we just want to sort of put this into the atmosphere that, and we'll have further talks with, school committee and town partners, but it would behoove us to put in an SOI for windows here at Proctor School, particularly the Georgian building up front. So that would be sort of our next big capital endeavor here at Topsfield, would be to put in an SOI to be part of the ARP program. It wouldn't be until January of 27, but just, as I said, like you were saying at the last meeting, Andrew, with, a new school eventually at some point in Topsfield, just putting it out there in the ether so it's out there and we can have further discussion on it as we move forward. So Steve's Greenberg, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, but I think there's a definite need.
Oh, without a doubt, it's been on the capital plan for a very, very long time. And so the longer we wait, the more expensive it becomes. When we talk about the accelerated repair program, and that continues to evolve and change, that the opportunities are becoming fewer, especially when they go to a biannual versus an annual.
Right.
So we're due for this project, and if we get we should put the application in and take advantage of it, with hopefully the opportunity to partner. They partnered with us with every accelerated repair project we've put in.
Yeah.
In all 3 towns. So we've been very, very fortunate.
And the goal would be, if they pick this up, that it gets put on the capital plan for that
Well,
corresponding year.
We got to commit.
Yeah,
correct.
Everybody, the town, we all have to commit if we go.
So we would put an SOI unless the town is committed
Well,
to.
you don't, yeah, the town, everyone has to be brought along the way, and everyone has to be on the same page.
So that's why we're talking about it now. We will continue to bring it up as we head into 26, because obviously that's going to be, a cost-inducing endeavor. And so we want to make sure that everybody's on board with it, and that there's funding available, and that, whether we're going out for, debt, or however the town would look to pay for something like that. And I think it would be more than just the Georgian building. If you're going to come in and do the windows, Steve would do an assessment of, okay, how old are all the windows in the entire building? And let's just get this done, one-shot deal. So I will make a note in my calendar that, you'll, almost like gifts and grants, we'll just keep this on the agenda so we don't forget about it. And Andrew, I think you and I and town partners sitting down and having further conversation with Steve, and just talking about, when we get closer to January 27, it would be very wise of us to put this in for sure.
And this is a safety and also a sort of ventilation.
Yeah, and
Issue, right?
and
'Cause, yeah.
envelope, really, when you think
Envelope,
about it, like heating and cooling, and
Efficiency.
yeah,
Efficiency.
definitely energy efficiency for sure. So more to come on that. We could take a deep dive, but a little early for the deep dive. But I just wanted to put it on everyone's radar. And then the final item in the drive, you will see an MPY school safety conference. And so I continue to be ever so grateful for the partnership that we have with police and fire across all 3 towns. Chief Hovey, Captain Bell, and myself have presented twice now on the work that we have been doing as it relates to school safety. And this was an MPY conference that was held on November 18th. There's a picture at the bottom of it of the 3 of us right after the presentation. And we talked about the ongoing communication, coordinated planning, shared language, and the respect and partnership and collaboration that we have between schools and law enforcement. And we took the group through a whole presentation on this. There were about 350 attendees, about 260 or so virtual, and about 70 in person. And we presented also this past summer at MASS. Now, what's great about this is we continue to get feedback and communication from other school districts and municipalities across the state to ask, if they could learn more about how we're doing and what we're doing. And it's really a tremendous partnership that we have. Chief Hovey is very progressive in terms of his vision of how he wants, school safety to look like. And it's been a good match, because that's certainly an area that's a focus of ours as well on the school side. Brendan, you've been a big part of this as well, so I thank you for your partnership. I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that, but it's really been tremendous, the work that's been happening.
Yeah, likewise, I agree.
Yeah.
It's been great. Excellent job.
Thank you. So that's just there as an FYI more than anything else, and happy to take any questions on any of those items.
Pretty good. All right. Moving along to the report of the Assistant Superintendent
Okay.
of Operations. No.
The Superintendent of Operations.
Maybe in June.
Just the-
Maybe in June we'll throw you that.
It's-
bonus.
we'll give him a
it's
title.
It's just
That'll change.
it's the aura. Good evening, everyone. Included in the drive is the times and count, a quick report on times and counts. Sorry for the delay on that, but there's no overcrowding issues. We don't need to really beat up the performance issue, the performance that has been a real struggle for this whole year. We did have a meeting via Zoom this morning with them to talk about other things, but we do have 2 permanent drivers that are going to be assigned to the TTU routes to help hopefully get this squared away, at least on the Topsfield side. So we'll bring more information forward on that. But if there are any questions on the times and counts, I'm more than happy to take those.
What's the max capacity on a bus in theory?
A bus, a regular date bus is a 77 passenger bus if you have a 13-inch seat. The ideal number, an efficient number would be 65. You think about backpacks, instruments, things like that. 65 would be efficient. you know, but we're just not seeing that. And any other questions on it? Feedback, comments?
No, I think the numbers on 24 are pretty low. So
Yeah, and
just
we
something for
know-
us to think about, like,
Yeah.
for next year, right? That
Yeah.
conversation we were talking about having.
And just briefly, financial report is in the drive, even though we're not talking about it, but, you know, it is there for you for the month of December, and if you have any questions, just reach out.
I would just say, yes, the interesting thing about the bus data is that we are not at capacity on any route, and some are very low. And so, granted, there's the complicating factor of Masco, although it'll be interesting to see what their bus numbers are for the same thing.
There's some
But-
interesting, we can talk, I think we should talk offline about
Okay.
that. There's
Yeah, just given performance issues and,
Well, there's a couple of interesting things that I found out today that I didn't know, so we can go over that another time.
like, bus-related or just interesting
Bus
facts?
related.
Interesting facts you picked up along the way.
You decided to just mention that in front of all of us?
It's not a crisis, it's just,
love
you know, it
interesting
could
things.
lend itself to budget
No, we
implications.
all love interest, especially it's about.
I'm not into drama, no, that's not.
Any other questions about the bus other than about Steve's interesting facts he's not sharing?
I'll just, this could go under other or now. I would just say, like, parents are still very frustrated with the app performance. That
Okay.
it's not actually tracking the buses that, you know,
No.
still tracking buses in Ipswich and Boxford and,
Right,
No,
because they're
we're-
not switching them over.
yeah,
Yep, got it,
So-
okay. Follow up.
thanks.
Should have an NRT rep here every week, every month. Wouldn't that be great? I could just directly speak to them. Any other transportation? Sorry, I shouldn't have jumped. On to the report
Have
of
there
the,
been any further issues with, you
Like the
had shared
safety?
like the
I
safety
don't think so.
concerns?
Not that
about-
I've heard.
Okay,
Not that.
okay. All right. That's fine. Thanks.
all right, on to the report of the principals.
And if it's okay with the chair, is if we can note that the principal reports are in the drive, so we can kind of move
Sure.
you know, over to budget as soon as possible. That's sort of the main event tonight.
Sounds like keep it snappy.
Yeah, we appreciate Carol and Adrian putting the reports in there for sure. So if you want a quick highlight, we can do that, or just sort of note that they're in the drive.
All right, we can note they're in the drive.
Okay.
Unless there's anything particularly exciting happening that you're
There's
actually able to tell
always
us as
something
opposed to
exciting
Greenberg.
happening.
I think the complete document's perfect.
All right, perfect. All right, great. Thank you very much for that. All right, so moving on to gifts and grants. So,
Yep.
should we just take this check out and approve it right now?
And if you refresh the drive as well, so yes, that check, and then if you refresh the drive, there'll be a folder called Gifts and Grants. We have some updates from, is it PTO?
Yes, Tespa, thank
Right, yep, so Carol will walk us through that once we do the Rotary approval.
So I will make a motion to accept a gift from the Rotary Club of Topsfield, Boxford, and Middleton for $1,000 for the use of dictionary, thesauri, and what was the third?
Literacy materials.
Literacy materials. Thank you.
Atlases.
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
So,
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
And again, thank you for that.
yes.
Shall we keep it consistent if possible on the like seconding and all
Yeah,
that?
that's fine.
Because we're gonna have to. do
Yeah, that's a really good
That's
point.
a good point.
Yeah, It'll be by
Yes.
video with Colleen. Yeah. She will
All right.
greatly appreciate that.
Oh, now we have to do all these Think Big grants. All right.
You can do them as
Yay.
listed.
Can I do them as listed?
Yeah.
I don't have to do
I don't know
individuals?
if Carol or Adrian wants to provide a
No,
little.
just wanted to say, if it's okay for me to speak, yeah. I just want to say thank you, both of us, to TESPO. They do $10,000, so you can see the totals for both schools. Thank you to the teacher staff at both Stewart and Proctor for writing the grants and thinking big about what that looks like for our kids. But you can see the impact on the classrooms, and there's a description of student impact and items. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to us or the specific staff member connected to the grants. It is interesting this year that TESPO asked not to fund furniture because they have funded it for the last 8 years because it has not been funded in our budget. So I appreciate them kind of realizing that most of those things that they've been funding for over 8 years now should be part of our general operating budget, and yet it hasn't been. So a huge thank you to them for the over $10,000 in grants to both Stewart and Proctor.
That's tremendous. Yeah.
I look forward to your ukulele concert at Proctor.
I know, that's exciting.
So I will make a motion to accept the Think Big grants from TESPO as listed.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for TESPO.
Yes.
For that very much. They always
Absolutely.
come through in a big way every year.
Tremendous partnership.
Oh, and I lost my agenda. Hold on. Sorry. There we go. All right. On to, were you going to fast forward integrated pest management since Steve's not here, or is he?
He's, I think, en route.
Okay.
I know you, is that something?
Yeah,
Bring
so
up.
we were at the last town listening session. There were a couple of concerned citizens who are part of a larger organization locally who are looking to eliminate the use of SGARs, which are second-generation anticoagulant rodenticides. I think I nailed that. Which are a poison that are commonly used for, obviously, rats and mice. The problem is that when the rats and mice leave the building, they are often consumed by predators who then are poisoned and die. There are alternatives that are, well, that this committee believes are cost neutral and or close enough. Like apparently vitamin D. If you overdose on, you can overdose on vitamin D. Who knew? My whole business model is spending time outside in the sun. Apparently, we're all going to die. So apparently, vitamin D you can put in traps and things like that. Anyway, so there are alternatives. And apparently, many pest companies carry this like as part of their supply, and they just need to be informed that you want to switch it out, and so you can do it. So I would be, Alyssa and I were both there. The town of Topsfield has passed an ordinance that in all municipal buildings they're not using SGARs anymore. School buildings fall outside the municipal building thing because of bureaucracy.
Yeah.
So if we wish to eliminate them, we would have to make a policy, or not really a policy, but we would have to say that we wanted our pest management plan not to include these. I'm in favor of not including them, provided it's not like a gazillion-dollar hit to our whatever we're paying for our integrated pest management plan.
Right.
But I did want Steve's feedback on.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you emailed him, and I think he said he was going to check the plan.
Yes, and get back to us.
I don't know where exactly that stands, so
Okay.
I think it's maybe a flag for tonight. If Steve has update, great. If not, we can make sure we get the update to the committee.
Okay.
At the January meeting, I'll make a note to keep that on there. And then that will allow us the opportunity to take any action if needed.
Perfect. All right, FY27 pre-K tuition rates.
Sorry. Matt and Carol, do you want to lead this conversation in the drive? We have put the document that you guys saw last go round.
Yeah, so I'll just tee it up with the, this is a document in the drive that you saw a couple meetings ago where we talked about the breakdown of the tuition rates for the preschool. We have yet to formally set the rates for FY27, so tonight the conversation is, now that you have all this information and the programming and looking at it, we're looking for a recommendation on where you would like to set the increase or no increase. And I think you said there's been a 0% increase for the past 5 years
It's,
or so?
like 8 years.
8 years.
And it's just interesting, just so people know a little bit about our preschool programming. Across the Tri-Town, we offer the most options in terms of before and after school programming. So we offer from 7 to 9, then also from 1 to 4:30. And so when we look at a preschool increase for Boxford or Middleton, it might be a little bit different because here our daily rate from 9 to 1 is pretty low. But then if you're including the entire day, which is a lot of working parents need, it gets pretty costly. So if we increase the rate, it might be really important to look at the daily rate and not and then calculate what the full day would be, because it would be we're pretty consistent with other Topsfield preschools right now for the whole day, which is what we're seeing a need for our parents. We have over 18 kids every day till 4:30.
And they're adorable when they leave.
What?
They're always adorable when I'm there and they're leaving.
Good job.
They're
Love
great,
it.
yeah.
Can I ask a question about enrollment?
Sure.
So I was just thinking, how many of this, are we still running a wait list, I guess, and how many of the spots are taken up by like the 2-day kids versus the 5-day kids? And like, should we move to
Sure.
eliminating the
So
2-day?
next year, we're not offering a 2-day.
Okay, that was my question.
I didn't know if I needed to. Preparation, sorry. We really saw for the kids in their transitions, if they're home for 4 days,
Yeah.
it's really difficult. And so we're not offering that. So we're offering just 3 days and 5 days, and that makes sense because sometimes we don't have school on Mondays and sometimes we have half days on Fridays. So that gets interesting too. So, and we keep the 3 and the 5 day option because we are an integrated preschool and we have to look at the special education programming. So when I say we're not offering 2 days, sometimes you will offer that through the IEP service grid.
Right.
So you can technically offer any of those days. But that's what we looked at. We have also changed the 3-year-olds and the 4-year-olds. It used to be one classroom of young 3s, then older 3s, then younger 4s and older 4s. We then realized, I don't know how we didn't do it earlier, that they're actually the same cohort. So all of the kids that will go to kindergarten are in between 2 classrooms, and all of the kids that won't go to kindergarten are between 2 classrooms. And we've seen a lot of success just in terms of us knowing kids, knowing families, and 48 of our kids went to kindergarten this year. That's 48 kids we know. And we have families for 7 years, so It's been great, and the wait list, so we just sent out all the lottery information. The due date for applications is the 12th. We already have 35 people plus everyone that's already enrolled in the programming. So I'm not concerned about the numbers for next year. And the wait list, everyone gets in the lottery now that we have 4 sections for the past 3 years. And our wait list usually occurs in the summer when people are moving in.
So, refresh my memory, this would be if there was a price change,
Yep,
would this be for FY '27, so like starting in September?
correct.
But people are already registered?
All of the information that goes out always says tuition is based on.
Okay, so we're not,
Right, so
it's
there's
not,
It's not
Even,
changing.
it's always based on even the passing of the May budget.
oh, that's true too, right, that makes sense. Okay.
Steve has a perspective that I think you often share.
Right. If the enrollment, if we have the waiting list and the enrollment remains consistent, and based upon how things performed last year and the year before, and taking into consideration that people are already getting taxed for everything else, that the program's in a healthy situation, which I believe it is, my feedback would be not to raise the rates for '27.
Ultimately up to the committee. We had a Boxer meeting last week. Yeah, and they looked at the heat map, and they've typically done like a 2-2-2, just sort of a 2% increase. I think they went with a 6%.
They went with the 6% increase to align with the increase that they're talking about for the budget.
Yeah.
Overall, that's how they grounded it. But they were more on the lower side of the
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my inclination is we're already sort of near the top. If most people are going for the full day anyway, I don't see the need to, and the revenues we bring in are healthy. It's not like we're scraping by. So I don't really see a need to raise it. But I'm willing to hear counter arguments, obviously. Wouldn't be a good chair if I was unwilling to hear counter arguments.
I think I agree with you. I don't think like the revenue that we would bring in from like a couple cents
Well,
on the
that's the
dollar
other thing,
increase
yeah.
is really gonna make the budget, but like maybe after the budget presentation, if we're really
That's true.
looking for.
Looking for $2,000 more.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right, because a 2% increase
Like,
would be,
Very
People are
small.
getting
Yeah, like-
squeezed, yeah, right, it's very small, yeah, so
yeah.
I would
Okay.
just leave it.
So do we need a formal vote, or?
I think a vote would be good.
Yeah,
That way we
a
can
motion.
set the minutes.
Exactly.
Okay. So I will make a motion to keep the preschool tuition rates level for FY '27.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, on to Mr. Greenberg Show. The FY '27 budget book overview.
Fly me to the moon.
Not necessary.
All right, good evening, everyone. We will start first with the quick Google Slides presentation, just to give you a brief overview. Then we will get into the budget book. And so, presentation, Google Slides in the Drive, and we'll move right into page 1, very beginning. And just some reminders for the committee and the community as a whole, as we're going through the process and kicking it off. You know, the budget development process really has been dramatically compressed this year. And we started this early in August, with some transition in technology, and we'll get into that in a second. But then to roll this out for, a overview in November and then a kickoff in December, it's really been compressed. Couple that with shifting away from a needs-based process to a guideline process that is a much different approach. It's 180 degrees, if you will, and that we're starting by solving a math problem, and then between now, January, February, March, we'll be discussing, deliberating on where the priorities are for the committee and where that number evolves or changes to. And then, of course, there'll be feedback and discussion with Select Board and Finance Committee, and that will help us navigate as we go forward. This is year 2 of using ClearGov, and it is year 1 for using ClearGov personnel budgeting. So we've totally moved away from Excel, and so those two pieces are also play a critical role in this process. So the numbers will continue to evolve, change, get fine-tuned, as not only we go through the deliberation process, but as we fine-tune, bless you, any of the little things that may need to be corrected along the way. All right. On the next slide, quick review that for FY26 Finance Committee guideline was 2%. That was about $228,000. We had a successful override to the tune of $891,000. That included the $202,000 for the ELA curriculum. Total increase above FY25 was 9.8, or $1,119,464. For FY27, the guideline, so this is where, we're going to go through this slow so everyone is comfortable with what I'm saying. We have an approved budget of $12,538,916. If I interpret the Finance Committee guideline correctly, that amount is reduced by 202. So that gives us a starting point of $12,336,916. So when you do 2.25 off of that, that gives us a guideline increase of $277,580. So when you look at that and you compare it to our approved FY26 budget, it translates not into a 2.25% increase, but a 0.6% increase, which is about $75,580. That guideline budget would be $12,614,496. Going on to the next slide. To maintain existing, a level service operation, all right, that would be approximately $12,766,000, almost $767,000. An increase about $227,000, not $75,580. Next slide. So when we do the math on that, so you can see it, that we talk about the difference, that gap of $227,680, subtract out the guideline increase of $75,580, gives us a gap or a shortfall of $152,100. This is Scott's slide. This thing always throws me for a loop. It's like so what does that mean? At the end of the day, the $152,000, we're going to have to, we're presenting a guideline budget. So in that guideline budget, we've already made $152,000 in reductions to balance it out. That's distributed between salaries, consumables, and transportation. All right, and I'll show you that in specificity when we go through the book.
And there, I think this sort of idea of broad strokes, it's that we didn't actually make reductions, right? Like this is the meeting where we're saying to you, like, we're going to cut cell phones out of the budget. Like this is not that meeting. But the broad strokes in terms, and Steve will point this out as he said when we get to the budget, the $152K, he just had to put that as sort of an opposing figure to balance out the budget to get it to 2.5. So it's parked in big broad categories, but there's been no actual sort of reductions, right? The work of our group and the committee and the homework between now and the January meeting will be like, okay, if we had to close that gap of 152, what are the options for us to do that? How would we sort of navigate that? And that's the work that'll lie ahead, and when we regroup in January, we'll be painting with a finer brush to keep the art theme as opposed to the big thick brush of the broad strokes.
All right, next slide. And now we'll get into the presentation. So we'll go through all those pieces and then go from there.
And so I would say, just as Steve calls up the link, and does the whole committee have the link, or do you need it again? Does everyone have it to get into the budget book? Everyone good? Okay. Just a huge gratitude to Steve. This has been a highly accelerated process, as Steve had mentioned. I think he's underselling it and being humble, and I appreciate that for sure. But as we know, again, we do this 3 times, and we say that not as a complaint. We just say it as how we do business. And typically, we would have our kickoff Saturday, January meeting at some point in late January, or in some cases, it's been early February across the 3 towns, depending upon the town, because there's only so many Saturdays. And so now that this is coming out in December, it was definitely a mad dash this fall. And I think ClearGov, Steve has been a leader in ClearGov in terms of the development and the usage of ClearGov. Not a lot of districts are using this, and it's our second year of using it, and it's already better than it was last year in terms of the model and the transparency and the clarity and everything associated with it. So I appreciate that Steve is continuing to make every effort to leave it better than he found it, particularly as we think about a transition in Steve's role as we turn the calendar from June to July of next year. And you got that update at the TTU committee in terms of where we are with that process, but just grateful. So thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Dry your eyes, Andrew, it's okay.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Are we ready to go? All right, so if everyone has the link open, and it'll be available to, we'll be getting this out to everybody. It'll be available to the community to be on the website tomorrow. All right, so school committee gets it first, and then we get out to everybody else after that.
Can you just remind everybody about navigation?
Yes, so when you're looking at the presentation or the budget itself, you'll see in the very top, there is an arrow pointing to the left. If you click on that arrow, it will shrink the menu that is on the left, and then, you have a full screen of the whole budget doc. Then to go through the pages, if you go a little down, you're still on the left, and you'll see an arrow pointing to the right. That'll move it to the next page. All right? And with that, unless there are any questions on how to move it around, we good? Everybody? All right. So I'm going to go through each of the pieces. Some of it will be very brief. If you have any questions, of course, along the way, don't hesitate. But first we start with the reader's guide. And with the reader's guide, we want to make sure that everybody, all stakeholders, have an understanding of how to navigate the document and what's in the document and the whys behind it. All right, so you can see a little more information as you scroll down about the overview of the budget, an overview on the numbers, talks about district governance. We get into vision and goals, and that's also in greater detail as we go through the document. Financial and budget information comes towards the bottom end, and then, of course, staffing and enrollment at the very bottom. Then we get into the introduction, and with the introduction, we do talk about the overall budget. We talk about the why, as it drives our budget, it drives our policies, it drives our vision and our mission statement. And then we get into the overview of the educational programs and the goals with educational programs, finance, asset management, leadership and governance, family and community. Now we get into, start getting into the meat of the document itself. And as soon as, there we go. So quick profile on the district, very, very high level. So, we talk about Stewart School, Proctor School, what grades they serve, overall population. And this is based on the most current, I took it actually from Power School. So I went through Power School the other day and grabbed what was there, and I know it can change day to day. But pre-K through 6, and again, principals, if you think there's a glitch or an error somewhere, just please let me know. But that's what I use to do that. But the rest of it, talks about the quality of staff, how we work our curriculum, and then our core focus. We get into, give the community an education or a run through on the school committee, its roles and responsibilities, and legal references associated with that. Have the school committee members, and then all the beautiful people in the leadership team are there.
Thank you for that gift.
Nightmare fuel.
Come on, Andrew, I know you got something. And then moving on to the next page, we go over the TTU organization. I think a lot of people in the community don't know that Topsfield is part of the elementary schools are part of a superintendency union. And so some information about that, the organizational structure, and the flow chart or the organizational chart with that. Then we capture the tri-town vision, the pillars, and school committee goals. Wait for my page to go. All right. Hey, I'm sorry, I just want to double check, make sure I didn't miss something. It's going a little slow. All right, so then we get into the budget process, and we do an overview again. We touch upon that this process has really been revamped. All right, it's been compressed. Second year with ClearGov, first year with the personnel budgeting. The method has changed, moving away from needs-based budget to a guidance, a guidance type of model. So a lot of those changes changed the process. So we phased out appendices. We phased out a lot of that discussion within the schools to help develop that budget. And so we touch upon all of that. And then at the bottom, you can see the timeline in terms of what we've done and where we're going. So we are right on track as far as December rollout. January, February, and March will be the deliberation months. And then we'll start with the revenue side, all right, the funding side of this. And a quick run through when we talk about the overall budget and the local appropriation, okay? So when we talk about what it takes to run the schools, that is the overall operating budget. What we are discussing with Finance Committee and Select Board and what is voted on at town meeting is the local appropriation. The local appropriation is the majority of the total operating budget, to the tune of about 93 to 94%, and actually for FY27, we're looking at about 95%. Okay? So when we look at this, we want to make sure that everyone understands ultimately what is being discussed with FinCom, with Select Board, and voted at town meeting is the local appropriation. The other funding sources that make up the total operating budget would be funds from revolving accounts and federal and state grants. Now, with that being said, another piece that we want to make sure to help everybody understand, right now, we're talking about a guideline budget. That guideline budget, the local appropriation portion of that guideline budget, is again $12,614,497. All right? If we say what the total guideline operating budget is, that's $13,287,246. The difference is made up with contributions or applied income from preschool revolving, about $300,000. Circuit breaker, we're estimating $226,439. Special ed tuition at $78,310, and $94,142 grant at $68,000. So that's a guideline budget.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, sir.
The 94,142, that's
Yes.
federal grant?
Yes.
We're relatively confident that's going to be in place.
I mean, I'm not, I won't.
No, I know, I didn't.
Yeah, so my answer is, I assume nothing's changing. That's, my answer is yes. And so now, that's the guideline budget. Any questions about those factors that make up the guideline budget?
I don't know if now's the right
Yeah.
time. At one point, were we applying income from instrumental music?
Yes,
And are we not this
No.
year?
phasing
Why?
that out. Because I'm just looking at things, and when I look at the operation itself, and the balance may be reasonable, I also think about the program, trying to keep rates reasonable. Look at instruments, look at investments in that program, those kinds of things. And I would like to see, in my opinion, and of course, it's the school committee that makes that decision, but I'd like to see investments in the program to enhance the program, make it better. So you're using that money directly for that. That's my opinion. So when I develop this budget for your consideration, that's my thinking. Now, you may look at this as we go through and have a different perspective, but at least you know.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know anything about it, so if there are, and like, I would love to hear from the principals or the music
Yep.
teacher about that.
Yep, that's fair, that's
yeah.
great. You want me to, good, any other questions? So, if I talk about, I'm gonna use the term level service, all right? And I used it in the last presentation with the other town, and then we had a discussion about it after. This really won't be necessarily level service, because when we made changes to the development of the budget, areas like consumables took a hit. Professional development took a hit, so based on how we developed it. So it's really just to keep in mind, and it'll be something for the January discussion and going forward about what does it really mean, and then how important is that as you are making a decision on what you want for a budget.
So in terms of like consumables and professional development, would they be level funded if we could fill that 152, or is there still cuts that are being made?
So when we talk about, there's still cuts. Those areas will not change. So let me get into it, and I'll answer that.
Right.
So when we talk about the 152, right now, and this is not a recommendation, it just solves the math problem. The 152, 50 some odd thousand of it, to balance out the budget, is sitting in salaries. 50 some odd thousand is sitting in supplies. And 48,000 is where the bus is. So you're running, if that budget stays right where it is and nothing changes, you're one less bus. You're 50,000 less in consumables, and you're 50,000 plus less in salaries. Okay, so but
Which bucket does professional development fall in?
professional development is not in
Is
any
not
of
one
those.
of those.
Right, so it's already been cut.
So PD was, in its initial development by itself, took a hit.
Gotcha.
All right, so that's why I'm saying to you, if we add that 152 back in, we're less than level service, but I've been using that term loosely. It's not entirely accurate, so we want to make sure you're fully informed, all right?
Does the PRISM grant extend into next year? It's just this year? The, support and stuff, yeah. Okay.
And again, it's all based on the way that we modeled the budget this year, which was, looking at 25 actuals and putting a percentage on it, as opposed to, looking at actual need,
So
right? The
PD is in
needs-based
that
budget.
bucket of the 3%.
Well,
Yeah.
it's just in this bucket, like I looked at actuals.
Actuals.
Yeah,
All right,
that's what
and I'm
I
like, okay, I have to make a decision on how this is gonna
Yeah.
be. And so, looking at actuals, PD wasn't like consumables. I'm like, okay, looking at this, I'm gonna recommend this to start. It's a starting point. Now, I shouldn't even say recommendation. It's solving a math problem.
Correct.
When you start your Q&A, and we start having discussion with the directors and the principals, they're gonna give you another layer of information, and that's gonna help you with your decisions in how much things are funded or not funded, or what changes are made. All right? This is the baseline. This is the start. You know how much it costs to meet a guideline. And you know where the adjustments, not recommendations, are sitting to balance it out. That's all this is at this point. All right? Any other questions? All right, so if we talk about adding that funding gap back in, all right, just the 152, then you would have a total operating budget of $13,439,346. If we scroll down a little more, one of the questions that came up was, how are we using the applied income? So in this section for FY '26, you can see how the applied income is spent, all right, in certain categories, so you can see that. And then for FY '27, how we would be planning to spend those funds as well. Any questions on that? So as we move along, and then we get into the budget itself on the expenditure side, when you look at this first chart, and it is the overall operating budget, or we call it local appropriation, the activity. The FY '21 through FY '25 are actuals. FY '26 is the adopted budget, and the FY '27 is the guideline budget. And as we scroll down, let me get my mouse back. As we scroll down, we're looking at that same information again, but we're breaking it down, the bars are breaking it down by cost categories. As you know, our 9 major cost categories are salaries, professional development, supplies, in-district special education, utilities, facilities, transportation, insurance, and special education tuition. So you can see the activity and the growth or changes in those 9 specific areas. And of course, you can see it right out of the gate that salaries are the biggest piece of the pie, to the tune of 80+% of the operating budget.
And again, I just really like to jump in at this point, like every time we talk
Yeah.
about it, and mention that that's consistent with the districts across Massachusetts.
Oh, it is. So
I just love to do that and just.
And I appreciate it, you're dead on. The only thing I'll add to it is if we had health insurance in our budget,
I see what you're
so in Boxford and Middleton, it's about 60-some-odd%. That's because we had the health insurance in there. So it just changes it, but your perspective is absolutely 100% on. And so as we continue to look down on this, there is more detail that gives an overview of those bar charts for the committee, so you can see percentages in writing. And then we're looking at it the exact same way in this donut chart, not a pie chart, it's a donut. And it shows you that salaries are about 83% of the total operating budget, and then everything else that comes with it, consumables being about almost 5% and right down the line. So the charts, as you go over them, they're dynamic, so you can see the activity and you can call out specific pieces if you choose. And then as we continue to scroll down, now we have that exact same information, but it's in number form versus charts. So you can see FY '27 guideline budget versus the adopted budget, the dollar changes, and the percentage impact. Questions? And finally, at the bottom of this, no, it's actually not the last thing, but we have our 5-year projection on this. And Andrew, for FY '28, I know we talked about this early in the budget development. With salaries, the great thing with the personnel budgeting is that we're really able to pin down based upon the contract, so I believe that's relatively accurate, as long as, like, staffing, everything stays consistent. So if Andrew's moving a step, it's capturing that step. The only thing it does not capture, because we don't know yet, would be, for '28, would be column movement. So if you're gonna factor in column movement, you'd probably throw about $30,000 at it. All right, but everything else, if we have a schedule for it, it's moving with it, that schedule. All right, any questions on that? And then in the last part of this page would be Chapter 70, and just capturing the track record of Chapter 70. And if the chart was like, if I made it wider, you'd see more of a dramatic change in Chapter 70. But looking at where we were, and if you say percentage-wise, it was about 10%, and now, that pace, the funding piece is something that will continue to be an ongoing discussion, at the state level, not just this community, but other communities as well. So you can see this information in front of you, and if there's any questions on that, I do want to double check that. But any questions on that? All right, going on to the next page. Oh, it passed my detail. There it is. Next page is the line item detail. All right. Oh, you found it.
Yeah.
Did you find it?
Yes.
There you go. I left a little.
That was a little Easter egg you put in
That's
there
right,
for
a little
you all.
Easter egg. I
I
want.
thought the photo was.
I didn't see it yesterday, and I got an earful for not seeing it.
I saw it right away.
For the audience, it says
You
Steve
did
Greenberg
not.
is
You
awesome.
didn't.
I
see
did.
it.
I said to the audience, it says Steve Greenberg is awesome on one of the graphics. Yes, that was one
It
of
will
his
not
Easter-
be on the official
No.
report.
It will not.
What? Anyways, Moving
We'll
on.
make a motion right now.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
I didn't have any reaction because I'm used to seeing that all the time.
So now we get into the line-by-line detail, and the line-by-line detail is broken down by the 3 areas district-wide, Stewart School, Proctor School, and then broken down by the 9 cost categories. All right, I do have an email or a request in to see if we can pin down the rows so that they freeze. It freezes when I'm in the Excel mode of doing it, but when we make it a budget, when we make it this document, it doesn't. So we got to see if they can do anything with that. So those are broken out in those 3 segments for you. And you can see all that detail, and I'm sure there will be follow-up questions as we get into January, February, and March. I will say, though, that because the budget is a guideline budget, developed this way, there's no magic to this. There really isn't. There may be, questions about methodology or how things are calculated, but there's nothing extraordinary, really.
Yeah, just to emphasize again that it's just salary movement and then 3%
It is.
growth on everything else.
It is.
Yeah.
There's, unless there's some contractual piece that we have to, that doesn't fit either of those criteria.
Or if there's like an out-of-district student rolling off the
Yes.
books.
Right, yeah,
yeah. Yes.
With the transportation rolling off or
Yeah.
whatever. 'cause
All
that's
that,
what it
yeah.
looks like.
Positives and negatives, absolutely. So when we sit down with those pieces, we go over the specifics and we build it. So unless there are other questions on that area, on the line-by-line detail, we go to staffing, I believe is next. And so with the staffing levels, there's discussion to be had. So we carry over what we had in '26. There'll probably be migration with grades and student population. But I'm sure the committee will have questions about staffing level as we go forward. So of course, it really, for '27, it's TBD, but at least you can see what the staffing level is to start. All right? Any questions? And then finally, the enrollment, and the enrollment is based on, for '26, I believe I captured out of Power School, the most current, and then NESDEC came in day before yesterday. So this has the NESDEC numbers in it. It does not have the census data. This is NESDEC numbers. So that's why when you're looking at the sections and you see it again at 27 on the far right, TBD.
And I would say for that, NESDEC, as Steve said, came in this week, and so we will put that PowerPoint together that we usually do, kind of take you through the NESDEC update for the January meeting, so you have those latest numbers. And principals, we just ask that you look at sections and all that, and just let us know if everything looks correct on your end, and get back to us for the January meeting, that'd be great. Yeah.
Carol, just a quick question, which is very minor. So NESDEC projects that we lose 3 kids next year from going from kindergarten to first grade. Do we ever lose kids going from kindergarten to first grade? That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, that's my recollection.
And do you have census data yet or anything on K from the
Yes.
town? And does it match coming in
I'm gonna have to clarify that today. We had,
couple? Okay, so just check that all over the
it's some
January.
spice today, so we're-
Say again?
So we had a little spice today too.
Okay, perfect.
Everybody, so we're gonna, we'll get that number tomorrow.
Thursday spice
Good
is fun.
spice. It was full moon spice with everybody.
And so, Mr. Chair, that is a quick presentation on the budget. I don't know if we have questions or.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I'd like to say is that, I don't think, since we just got this recently, I don't think I want to spend tonight going line by line, like, at each thing. I know Alyssa wants to, but but I think this would be an opportunity for us to ask questions of the principals and Peggy and Steve. Sort of, again, broad, not drilling down on like specific things, but sort of, again, the broad strokes, which is the theme of the evening in terms of like what might help shape our thinking going into January, when we'll probably start really digging down on.
Right, so just order like meetings, so like January, the directors are gonna
They'll be back.
present on like what this budget would mean for like quality of life, quality of school, student experience,
Yeah, they have a better sense of, if we were to remove that 152, right? If we had to
Right.
remove 152, what are the options for navigating that 152? We'll talk about that with the committee. And then, hearing from directors and principals and department heads on, what the impact would be
Yeah.
to their department of school.
Like, big picture.
Yep.
Will we also be hearing, like we have in the past, what would it look like to continue to provide level service? Just the solution to the math problem?
Yeah, that'll be part of the conversation for sure. Because this is the math problem solution
Gap
today.
between-
Right.
Yes. Yep.
Mhm. Got it. Mhm.
Yeah, so just think like the music program, or like if there are other things to highlight that, we should know more about.
In terms of the revolving account?
No, or just like this, I don't know, what's going on in school and how it would be affected by, the decisions that we have to make.
I don't know if it's appropriate, but just for like historical knowledge, I think that we always have to remember how much we've already cut in Topsfield.
Correct.
Yeah.
In the last 5 years, so.
I'm not saying,
No,
but
like I think it's just always interesting to remember all of those pieces in terms of where the final numbers are, in terms of what has already been cut.
Right. Like, the last 3 years, we've lost 3 sections, click, tap,
Yeah,
other things.
Having a visual of those things over time
Right, that
would be
history over
helpful.
time.
To be able to deliver the story of, that typically in the past, the budget process was, we're starting at 0, everyone, all the stakeholders, they come up with here's what
I
I
have
need.
a recent budget history that I've been disseminating to the select board members as we meet with them, so I can share it with everyone.
Well, the discussion
Includes
might.
all the.
We're going from a situation where, again, like in the time period in the last 10 years, since I was an observer and then here, of the committee in general trying to advocate for a budget that meets both the needs, but also some goals and changes and improvements, right? But also not being able to get there, right? And so having to make cuts or not being able to realize these changes or some of the changes or programs they were envisioning. But then getting to a breaking point where the pain of the cuts that would be needed is so great that it pushed the committee to advocate for an override and to try and get that to happen. And when it has gotten to that point, they have passed. We have not always gotten, select school committees have not always been able to convince the town governing body to put that on a warrant. So there have been times where the committee would like to have gotten to an override. So it's been that game of, this is the level of service and the product and experience we want to provide. We also know that we're working within a finite number of dollars for an entire town. And so it's been a shifting game. But in the prior budgets, we've really been able to see that gap more clearly. This is what we would like.
Yep.
Plus, we had the appendices of like the wish list and the things that carried over that we've never been able to fill year after year
Yep.
after year, right? Like a building sub, or like, I'm just trying to think of something.
Educational furniture.
Right, yes, exactly. And so it was like that historical reminder. And now we're saying, all right, we are trying to say, okay, here's the top line number we're given. Now let's see what we can do with it again. Do you know what I mean? And it's not the natural way that we would like to. And I know that we have talked in general about, again, the growth of our budget. When the biggest chunk of our budget is the most important part of our budget, the staff and the salaries that go along with it. And that increase has been, again, because of our decisions, meaning all past school committees, has always been higher than the guideline. Well, not actually, no, that's not true. In general, overall, over that entire period above that guideline. Therefore, we could never have possibly come in at the guideline because we still had other parts of the budget to fund, right? And the biggest part is over. We really can't meet a guideline. So we've never really been able to meet a guideline. And again, that guideline is an artificially set state number saying you must ask the town at this point. Why it's that point and not 0.2% higher or 1% lower or what, I don't know the historical nature of that, but it's artificial. That makes sense. We're trying to fit this real world experience into an artificial kind of scenario and navigate people's discomfort with the word override, if that makes sense. I just wanted to summarize all that this sounds so weird to me now. It's just so strange.
I think part of it too, Candace, is, so if you were to just stack the three towns' budgets next to each other this year, right? And when we talk about the gap, as Steve said, we're using that term level service loosely, because in order to kind of do that math problem, right, we're saying it's a $152,000 gap. It's actually more than that, because he's already made some reductions to things to kind of do this math problem way of approach to budgeting. So in Boxford, right, the gap right now is about $850,000, right? That's our gap. So the 152 number in Boxford is 850, and it's really more than 850 because Steve had to make reductions
And you're
to,
also creating the budget in the same way. And doing
correct,
the
same exact
calculation
process.
Oh, yeah,
for the
All
whole-
three.
All three
And they have
exactly.
health insurance?
included in their budget, yeah.
Yeah.
And in Middleton, it's about $850,000, right? And as we were talking to the team about that, the point came up, and it was a good one. I think Carol made it, which was, yeah, our gap's a little bit smaller because we've cut so much over the years that it's a smaller thing to try to navigate and move forward, right? And so as we think about that, and again, the 152 is the gap, but it's really more than that, and the 850 is the gap, and it's really more than that, and the 850 is the gap, it's really more than that. As you look at the 202 that is coming out of the budget, right, and you look at the 152, you could almost see how we'd be in a relatively more decent place if that 202 that was, part of the school override last year. Because again, the 152 is a lower end number because of the cuts that had to be made. And so as you think about that and this idea of, I don't know, would that carry us through a couple of years of maybe not having to go down the override route? We don't, that's a good conversation to have as well. So that all plays into, I think, the bigger pieces of the puzzle, just as considerations, that's all.
I mean, Alyssa and I have had a lot of conversations. The 202 is not coming back, but at the same time, it is disappointing in that I think it would have, as you were sort of saying, potentially set us up for success for a number of years,
Yeah.
and maybe avoiding overrides for a number of years, or at least 2 or 3 years, because then you have the multiplier effect of
Exactly.
2.5 or 2.25 on top
Yep.
of that. Yeah, so I mean, I think one thing we need to think about, and again, sort of the big picture, is do we have an appetite for year 4 of asking for an override? I have feelings about it. We can talk about it later.
Yeah, just the idea that we need to talk about the budget in terms of appetite from override is artificial itself, right? Like the idea.
It's artificial, but it's a reality. Like we're
Right,
not going to
no.
get away from it.
That's what I mean, is just that instead of talking about like where, again, like our vision for like the school and what things,
Right.
the needs and stuff, it's more like just, okay, what does the town, what in the general does the town want to see? That makes
Yeah.
sense? Where it's asking them, instead of asking like, what kind of education do you want to see, like what numbers do you want to see?
And I hate to put this as part of the equation. I think that we need to consider is that I do think override fatigue is a thing. I do know that Masco already has a $700,000 hole in their budget that they're going to have to fill this year, and they're going to be looking for millions of dollars in capital improvements. So there is and their override last year passed by 42 votes, which you just need to flip 22 people, and that fails. And if, again, we've had tremendous success when we can get it on the warrant. I think we've done a really good job of advocating for why we need the overrides, and the town listens to us, which is a credit to us. Pat on the back. But at the same time, even if we go in for like a $300,000 override, which would seem modest compared to what we've had to go for in the past, and we lose that, then we're in a bad place. And again, I don't want fear to get in the way of what we believe is best for the students, because I don't think that's the best way to do things. But I just think that for lack of a better word, the politics of the year need to be considered a little bit more than maybe in years past. But I don't know.
Steve stepped out, but my understanding is like, we're not cutting any people. The reductions in the salary line are coming from the assistant superintendent of operations salary being a little bit lower, the proctor school principal salary being a little bit lower because they're new people. And then an adjustment counselor who's probably coming in at a lower, a less expensive stepper level.
Right, so we're not
Is that
losing
right?
anybody this year.
Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
that's all undefined at the moment. It's just parked in salaries, right? It's not completely fleshed out.
Okay,
Yeah,
I read it, okay,
because we've not hired people yet.
right.
Andrew, may I
But-
add something? Because
Yeah.
just to answer Alyssa's question earlier, because you were wondering if there's any other variable that you should be aware of in your thinking. I don't know how aware you are about what's been happening with our federal grants. So there's the Title I, Title II, and Title IV grants, which are entitlement grants, but they are based on demographics.
Mhm.
So our demographics have shifted in Topsfield. We had received, so when I first started here, this is my 6th year, our grants in total between those three were about $100,000. This past year, just over 5, because we lost the Title I grant,
Mhm.
and then unbeknownst to me, losing the Title I grant the following year means you lose the Title IV grant. So now we only have the Title II grant, and it was just over $5,000. So when you think about the capacity that we have to absorb some costs within grants, and also the PRISM grant ending, that does change the equation. So sometimes when we look at our, like, professional development, for example, and we see what the actuals were, it's because I was able to offset costs with grant funds and not have to charge the operating budget. But if there aren't grant funds, then I have to charge the operating budget. So it just, our capacity is not what it was due to some very significant shifts in our federal grant funding. I just wanted you to be aware of that.
Thank you.
So Peggy, can I ask a follow-up question? Well, sort of follow-up question. Like, in like a Cliff's Notes version, given the project, like, so if we were to say, we're doing this, we'll figure out the 152, and maybe that goes, but there's still a reduction in PD. Given that we're still implementing into reading, where would those cuts potentially, what would the reduction in PD be in areas outside of the interreading, or would it touch interreading as well?
Yeah, I think we'd have to touch the intervening PD as well, yeah, because so we just ourselves just recently got
Yeah.
these numbers, so part of our task between now and January when we come back is to put all the legs under it
Yeah.
and help you to see, like, this is exactly what we would say or how it adds up. I think it's really important to know that that line item is actually where all of the teacher stipends are too. So sometimes we think professional development and we assume, like, oh, that just means like PD for teachers. It's actually like the grade level liaison stipends. It's all of the stipends that we pay out is in that professional line as well.
Which are contractually obligated.
So yeah, so it's just, I can't say that without doing all the math.
Yep, that's fine.
And so when we come back in January, I'll be able to paint that picture. But I did want you to be aware of that federal grants piece, because that's allowed us to leave some money in the operating budget that could be used for other things because we had this grant funding that we no longer have. And I'm not anticipating that that's coming back anytime soon.
This is a total non sequitur. For the transportation, there's obviously the special ed transportation costs that can roll off or change. And then, does this include consolidating a bus route? Yeah, big
This
yellow
is,
school bus route.
it is not special education, this is regular day transportation. We'd go from 7 to 6.
Okay.
And again, that's Steve, much like the salary
Yeah.
thing, just parking it there for now without having any further discussion with the school committee. Again, just for tonight's purpose, to meet a math
Okay.
problem.
Any other questions we have that might help clarify our thinking for January?
If I may, Mr. Chair, if you guys have questions, like detailed questions or line item questions, if you don't mind emailing those to me, I may need some time with them, but then we can, like, get that information out to you instead of us sitting in a meeting and be like, okay, I'll get back to you on that one, so we can drill into it and give you history or whatever's needed. We may need a little time with it, but if you guys don't mind.
Are we going to be presented with other options for more applied income or less applied income?
It's all options are on the table. Again, it's your budget. This is the starting point. It's not, and it's not a recommendation. It's
Right.
just like we keep sorry. It's a math problem. We solved the math problem. That's it.
I guess I have one more question for Carol and Adrian, and I don't know how you're going to answer this. So, I would just, I guess, my question is, given, as someone who works with kids, obviously behavioral issues are on the rise. Are you seeing impacts to classroom learning based on behavior that could potentially be mitigated by smaller class sizes? And that's a very leading question, I understand.
Or more bodies, or.
I think I can speak historically that the consistency of having our BCBA, our school adjustment counselors, our behavior specialists, has made all of the models work, right? So, and I think that it goes in waves, right? It's why teachers keep teaching, because one year it could be a class that's a little spicy, and one year it won't be as spicy, and then it'll keep coming back if it was really spicy all of the time. I think that would be more difficult, but I think we have really, really strong teams, and we're able to support staff, and if we can't, then we go to Scott and Matt, and we're able to think creatively in the moment around specific kids' needs, and then we also look to see what they might specifically need. So I think, my concern right now is kindergarten, they're at 20, right? That would be concerning if we didn't have the ability to shift instructional assistants. And we did, mostly because of where certain kids hit already, or certain groups of cohorts hit that already needed some of those supports, right? So yes, if you had taken some of those supports out of kindergarten, that would be more concerning, but I think right now with all of those other pieces, because we didn't always have that, right? We had a school psychologist, 0 school adjustment counselors, never a BCBA. All of the supports that have been layered and supported by the community through overrides and by all of you has helped, because there's a hierarchy and a scaffolding of student support.
Adrian?
Yeah, I mean, she said, well, I think any kind of reductions, you're going to have ebbs and flows of cohorts of kids that come through, and anytime you have a reduction, that could up the probability that there could be some, aberrant behavior bubbling, but I think that's pretty challenging to know until you're in it. So I would say, kind of what Carol's saying with all these resources has helped really mitigate that. But if you reduce that, then yeah, I guess the probability of behaviors having more of a significant impact in the learning environment will go up.
I was just thinking about how you're talking about, again, we've added personnel at the level of I'm not sure, but not teaching staff, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I
Right?
wouldn't say added. I think we met the needs. Do you know what I mean?
Right,
right.
but
I just, the words are so
I know.
particular because they have to be, so I'm not trying to cut you off.
No, that's
but
fine. I just mean when I've been hearing lots of conversations about, again, Masco in particular, regarding kind of their student population as one trend, and then the number of staff. I'm gonna say staff in general because,
Head count.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. that had a different, again, I've heard a lot of just back and forth, so I'm a little confused about some of the details, but, our population has been fairly flat, and where we've reduced sections. Do you know what I mean? We haven't added in classrooms, in that way, where there are bodies is in the very important behavioral support.
Right.
section.
In my 7 years, we've never added a classroom section.
Right. So I just think that's a key discussion point, since that is, has been a very heavily discussed.
Anything?
Does anyone else want to see what it would look like to add click or tap back?
I can tell you it'd be another $100,000.
I don't know.
Yeah, I do want to just say that having kids go through over time, I can see the ways that that the staff are trying to create those opportunities without that funding, if that makes sense. Yeah. So, yeah.
I was gonna say, I agree
Does
with
that make sense? So it's,
Yeah.
on the one hand, there's a limit to that.
Right, we're asking more of the
Obviously.
current staff. yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
just that, all of a sudden I'll be sitting with Mrs. Kelleher and oh, I didn't know that was a thing that my child was being available to them now, and it's a different way of trying to provide, this like enhanced and additional instruction in a way that they haven't before. And,
And Candace, that also comes with our consistency of our LEDs, because they're able to support those curriculum. It comes from
exactly.
everybody,
Yep,
but
and
having
that's
that piece is
the exact
so
kind
important
of
too.
situation that I was thinking of. So, yeah.
And we didn't get into it tonight because we have time, but I do encourage you to look at the principal report, because when you see like the passion projects that happen at Stewart, and you see the PBL things that are happening at Proctor, and real life working with town departments and things like that, those are great experiences for our kids. So that's, I think, a part of what you're getting at.
All right. So plenty to think about before January.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I agree. Well, if you have questions, please send them to Steve and Scott, and that way we can be as efficient as possible in January. Not that efficiency is everything.
But it is.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah. Anything for other? You wanted to bring back, so Candace mentioned, I had forgotten this, that we had been, I think it's fell off the radar over the summer. We've been revisiting our goals every now and then. So if in January, I forget where we left off, I'd have to go back and look at our
Go back
June
and look at the
meeting.
agendas.
Yeah,
Yep.
That'd be awesome.
The next section to look at.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll add that to the notes right now.
Are we good to send the chapter 70 letter?
Oh, that's great. I forgot about that. Oh, sorry. I was yelled at today. So when I was talking to you on the phone earlier today, Scott, I got shushed in a public setting. I got shushed, and then the guy apologized for shushing me. But I said I do have a very loud voice, and I apologize. So Alyssa did an amazing job writing a Chapter 70 letter. So for those who don't know, Desi is asking for feedback on their Chapter 70 formula. And asking for solutions to the problem, to which, again, I will say that's your job. But Alyssa did a nice job of summarizing the challenges that Topsfield faces in terms of the amount of funding we get from the state. I believe I circulated it to everybody. All right, are we good to send that out? All right, so we will do so. Thank you.
Do you have the email address to send it to?
I do.
Okay.
I just want to make sure we don't have letterhead.
School committee
committee
does not.
letterhead?
Tim, you could
Can I
easily create one.
make one?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I had a very.
I'd like to vote on that, actually.
I had a lot of back and forth with ChatGPT over it.
Yeah,
Seal.
the superintendent sent a letter as well. The North Shore Superintendent Roundtable, we've communicated in a big, long letter as well. So it's good that they're hearing it from everybody.
Yeah. I mean, again, I don't expect any swift action on the part of the state, but at least they're looking at it. Bills and payroll. So I will make a motion to accept the bills and payroll as listed.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstain. And then the minutes from our previous meeting. I did not look at these like I did the TTU ones. So it was the most thrilling part of the meeting.
The quietest part, anyway.
That's true. So I will make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from our November 6th, 2025 meeting as presented. Or with any, I'm going to amend that to with any suggested edits.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? And that just leaves a motion to adjourn. Does anyone want to make that motion?
I'm going to continue the.
All right.
or by being-
So I could take back my old role of motioning to adjourn?
Yeah.
Sweet. I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all very much.